Ladies and gentlemen, New York is ending its criminal probe into Donald Trump. Why does New York's criminal investigation of Donald Trump appear to be over? The New Yorker, after promising to prioritize the case, the new Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg seems to have abandoned it. This is an article a couple of days ago. We know that 2 top prosecutors resigned, and then they wrote letters explaining their frustration that the district attorney and other prosecutors weren't taking the case seriously. Okay, here's why they're ending the case. They have nothing. They've never had anything on Trump, ever. This is a fact. You have to be a complete imbecile to think that because James Clapper and Comey and Strzok and McCabe and Brennan said they had a hunch, they had a feeling, they were suspicious that Trump was installed by the Kremlin, and we see the real puppet now. Mashed potato brains. This is happening under Biden's administration. Ukraine's being invaded, or has already been invaded. They're in Kiev right now, or right near Kiev. The Russians are, and it's happening under Biden's watch. So who's the puppet? Trump or mashed potato brains Biden? So just ask yourself, why did Putin take Crimea under President Obama? Why are Russians and the Kremlin and Putin invading Ukraine under Biden? 2 consecutive Democratic administrations, we see catastrophe in Ukraine. Do you think maybe it has something to do with Democrats in the Oval Office? That's another story. But what they did with Trump was projection. They tried to set him up and frame him with a Steele dossier, then with Alpha Bank, and all this nonsense. They couldn't find anything in the Mueller probe special counsel. Now there's a Durham probe special counsel finding out all this illegal activity, indicting people. I have another segment out, a live stream in a couple of hours, probably around 4 or 5 p.m., but I'll have another upload on the Durham probe special counsel in about 2 hours, so be here. Subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel. Hit subscribe to this channel. We're almost at 200,000 subs. Subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel. That's below in the pinned comment. If you want to support my work to my new Patreons, thank you. My Patreon is below in the pinned comment. And read my article in the Federalist on the stock market crash that I called. We're seeing it right now. We'll see, unfortunately, the 2,000 to 3,000 point drops in the Dow. But here, they couldn't find anything on Trump. Stormy, Michael Avenatti's in prison. It's not Trump that's in prison. Michael Cohen's was in prison. It wasn't Trump. They couldn't find anything. Stormy, Russia collusion, nothing. They can't touch Trump. He's complete Teflon because what they throw at him is fabricated nonsense. So he's not really Teflon. Nothing's really bouncing off of him because they're not really throwing anything substantial. Now, this is an article. Deutsche Bank loaned more than $2 billion to Trump over 2 decades. Do you think Deutsche Bank, who do you think knows more about real estate values? Deutsche Bank or New York prosecutors getting paid by the city? Or by the state of New York? Who do you think knows more? Now, the reason that they're ending this, ladies and gentlemen, is what I have been saying pertaining to this case for a long time. New York prosecutors don't know how to value real estate in New York. You could look at the 20 most expensive cities to buy a home in the world, Money Inc. We're not even talking about commercial real estate, just to buy a home. Monaco, London, Hong Kong, New York City, and Tokyo. Now, commercial real estate, New York City and Tokyo are 2 of they're in the top 3 or 4 in any ranking. Now, and this is a Money Inc. Article, the 26 most expensive apartments in New York City. You want to hear what New York prosecutors are trying to do? They're trying to prove that Trump deliberately overinflated his real estate to deceive, impressionable and gullible banks. The banks are not, first of all, the banks are not going to be duped or deceived by Trump. They know just as much about real estate as Trump does. So Deutsche Bank giving Trump $2 billion wasn't an accident. See, this is what happens when you have morally superior liberal Democrats in New York trying desperately to find something on Trump. My God, they're trying to find something. They can't do it. They can't find anything. But here, 26 most expensive apartments. 8 East 63rd. Okay, $29.99 million. $29 million for an apartment that's 10,000 square feet. That's a large apartment, but 29 million? Are you kidding me? For a 10,000 square foot apartment? I mean, a 10,000 square foot house for 29 million would be like extravagant beyond belief. 10,000 square feet is not that big. It's big, but it's not. It's big, but it's not that big. For $29 million. Okay, this is a Newsweek article. 9 East 68th Street, $29.5 million. Okay, $29.5 million. It's a 10-bedroom property. For you have to spend $30 million for 10 bedrooms. This is New York. This is in New York City. Okay, Manhattan. This is the city that the prosecutors are now saying Trump overinflated his either net worth or his apartments or his real estate or his businesses and holdings. It's like you're talking about the most expensive city in the country. New York City is the most expensive city in the country. Okay? And it's not even close. 10 East 76th Street, $32 million for 12,380 square feet. $32 million for 2,000 more square feet. They added, what, $3 million more dollars? So you're talking about, like 10,000 square feet in Manhattan, you'll pay $30 million or so. Okay? And so in the Park Avenue, $33 million. I mean, you could go on. This is like $36 million, 995 Fifth Avenue. $36 million for 8,360 square feet. I mean, just for the view. Okay? The New York prosecutors, these people are idealists. These are idealistic liberal Democrats that want to go after Trump just like the Mueller probe team. They're all liberal Democrats. They are desperate to find something on Trump. They can't find anything. Okay? You can look at 30 plus years with the Clintons. It's an endless stream of, oh my God, they got out of this, and media backed them. And if you have media support and the entire Democratic Party backing you, you can get away with pretty much anything. Uranium One giving millions, and then owned by the Kremlin, and Bill Clinton meeting with Putin at his home, according to The Hill and Newsweek. This is like, and no calls for any transcripts or no investigations. That's according to The Hill. This is, published public record knowledge. They fabricated everything on Trump because they didn't have anything on Trump, and they did so because it's projection. They're the ones who preside over the catastrophe in Ukraine. Two consecutive Democratic Party presidents. It didn't happen under Trump. Why didn't it happen under Trump? It's like the worse things get, the more they think, Democrats, that they've won the Super Bowl or that they're up 50-0 in the fourth quarter. That's why I love sports. You can actually see who wins and loses. With Democrats, when they fall, when they fail, when they lose, they spin it into a victory. They put little hashtags and, little icons on their Twitter profiles. I don't have Twitter. I don't have Facebook. Of course, I have this channel and the stock market crash channel. But you're dealing with people on social media and in media in general. Washington Post, New York Times, MSNBC, CNN, The New Yorker. The New Yorker actually wrote an article that makes sense. Okay, The Atlantic. Why does New York's criminal investigation of Donald Trump appear to be over? Because they have nothing on Trump. What they've been trying to do since day one is dive into, investigate a topic that Trump knows infinitely more about. They don't know anything about New York real estate. None of these prosecutors, unless they have Hunter doing business deals with a corrupt energy company, where Joe just coincidentally forces out a prosecutor in a sovereign nation, right? Remember, it's a sovereign nation. It's not sovereign, I guess, when he's forcing out a prosecutor for their own benefit. Definitely not for his son's benefit, but for their own benefit. No, but they can't join Ukraine because they're too corrupt, but they're not too corrupt for Hunter to make a whole bunch of money. Anyway, they're not going to make, New York prosecutors aren't going to make enough money ever to afford a $30 million apartment in Manhattan that has only 10,000 square feet. You're going to spend 30, you could get acres and acres and acres of land in Idaho or Texas or anywhere else for that money. But that 10,000 square feet, that's all you're going to get in New York City. And so these prosecutors are trying to say that he overinflated. How do you overinflate real estate holdings or commercial real estate? Commercial real estate is even more expensive than the residential real estate in New York. Commercial real estate. Hotels. How do you overinflate? It's like saying, he overinflated the Lamborghini or the, I guess you could with a Lamborghini but it's like, these are, once you reach a certain point of wealth in any country, Japan, the US, anywhere, at a certain point, it's whatever the wealthiest person is willing to pay. That's why Trump couldn't have overinflated his wealth. That's why this was always, theoretically, they could have possibly gotten anyone else. Theoretically. When you're talking about Trump in New York actually helping move the market along with other billionaires, you're not talking about overinflating anything. It's inflated because it's New York and the wealthiest people are willing to pay 30 plus million for 10,000 square feet, and who knows, next 10 years from now they might be willing to pay 40 or 50 plus million. Well, with the way inflation is, who knows what they're willing to pay. Anyway, it was a losing proposition to begin with. New York prosecutors don't know enough about as much about real estate as Trump does or as Deutsche Bank does. So, and then the next thing is that it's politically motivated. Does anyone on the planet believe that Democrats in New York are investigating Trump based on ideals or value system? They're investigating Trump because they're an extension of the Democratic Party. It's Tammany Hall, but on a massive, grandiose scale in 2022. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. They found nothing on Trump, and they never will, because he never did anything even close to what the Clintons did or what the Bidens did. He's been in the public eye, and the only time you heard that he was a horrible person, bigot, tax... Oh, by the way, they have his tax returns. They found nothing. So anyway, hit subscribe to this channel right now. Be at the Stock Market Crash channel right here. Go to the Stock Market Crash channel in the pinned comment below. I have a segment up right after this one. And be on my main channel tonight around 5 p.m., 6